The International Martial Arts Cultural Forum in Beijing had grown unusually quiet. It was late summer of 2017, and senior instructors from across Asia had gathered under the banner of heritage preservation and cross-style learning. Delegations from China, Japan, Korea, Indonesia, and Southeast Asia filled the demonstration hall. When the representatives from the Philippines prepared their presentation on traditional Filipino combat systems, a well-known senior Kung Fu instructor, Master Liang Zhou, a man with nearly 5 decades of teaching experience and roots connected to classical Shaolin-influenced training, reacted with visible skepticism. Speaking first in Mandarin and then in English for the foreign guests, he commented with a faint smile, "So this is Filipino martial arts? Stickworker screamer, yes." His tone suggested polite dismissal more than curiosity. He continued, "These appear to be simple weapon drills. In Chinese martial traditions, we study philosophy, internal discipline, breath control, energy development. Our history is thousands of years old. What philosophical or internal systems exist in these weapon practices?" Some attendees shifted awkwardly, others nodded quietly. Master Zhou expanded on his point, describing the depth of classical Kung Fu training, animal systems, meditation practices, multi-decade mastery timelines, and complex forms designed to refine both body and mind. Then he concluded bluntly, "These methods may be useful for practical defense, but they do not seem to carry the artistic and spiritual depth that defines high-level martial traditions." Near the demonstration space stood a young Filipino practitioner named Adrian Cortez, age 28. He had trained since childhood under family lineage instructors connected to older regional fighting systems. Beside him stood his teacher, an elderly instructor known simply as Guru Mateo. Adrian had heard similar opinions many times growing up. When Master Zhou finished speaking, Adrian stepped forward respectfully. "Master Zhou," he said calmly, "would you be open to a demonstration exchange? You present an advanced example from your system. I will present principles from ours. Afterward, perhaps we can discuss what defines depth in martial arts." The hall grew attentive. Master Zhou studied him for a moment before agreeing. He stepped into the center and performed an advanced dragon-inspired form sequence. The performance lasted several minutes. His balance, control, and timing were exceptional. The transitions between explosive and flowing movement drew admiration from nearly everyone present. When he finished, the room applauded respectfully. Then he nodded toward Adrian. "Please," he said, "show us." Adrian entered holding 2 rattan sticks. Instead of performing a choreographed routine, he began with what looked like very simple movements, flowing diagonal strikes, smooth transitions, and continuous motion. At first glance, it seemed basic. But as he continued, observers noticed something unusual. Each motion carried multiple functions. A single strike position could transition into disarming motion, joint control, counter strike, or empty hand technique depending on the opponent's reaction. He demonstrated how one basic angle of attack could adapt into many outcomes based on timing and distance. Then he worked with his teacher, showing how their system adjusted to incoming attacks rather than clashing directly against them. When his teacher used movements resembling other martial systems, Adrian responded using timing and positioning rather than fixed counters. Then he explained a core concept. "In our training," he said, "why often focus on removing the opponent's ability to attack rather than meeting power with power?" He demonstrated by targeting attacking limbs rather than blocking force directly. The room grew quieter. Then Adrian explained that Filipino systems historically evolved during periods of constant conflict, tribal warfare, colonial resistance, survival combat. Training emphasized adaptability, efficiency, and rapid learning rather than long-form memorization. Next, he demonstrated sensitivity training, partner drills that built the ability to detect pressure, balance shifts, and intent through contact. Master Zhou volunteered to participate. When they made contact, small adjustments from Adrian disrupted every attempt at technique completion, not through strength or speed, but through timing and structure control. For the first time, Master Joe looked genuinely surprised. Adrian continued respectfully. "Our traditions include philosophy," he said, "but much of it was lived rather than written. Courage, presence under pressure, adaptability, these were survival necessities." Then he demonstrated continuous transition, weapon to empty hand, long range to close range, standing to grappling, all without pause. Finally, he asked Master Joe to perform any attack combination. Master Joe demonstrated a complex sequence. Adrian defended by blending timing and positioning with the attack's natural momentum, rather than opposing it directly. When they separated, Master Joe stood silently for a moment. Then he spoke quietly. "I misunderstood. I saw simplicity and assumed lack of depth. But this is a different expression of sophistication, one based on principles rather than structure." In front of the assembly, he bowed respectfully. The demonstration was recorded and shared widely online. Within days, it spread across martial arts communities globally. More importantly, it sparked dialogue. Schools across Asia began exchanging training methods. Traditional systems explored sensitivity drills and adaptability training. Weapon integration concepts spread across multiple styles. Adrian later became known internationally as an instructor and cultural ambassador, but he always credited his teachers and ancestors. Years later, in an interview, Master Joe reflected, "I spent decades studying structured systems. That day taught me that complexity is not the only path to depth. Some systems hide depth inside simplicity." Today, Filipino martial systems are widely respected within global martial arts circles. The lesson from that exchange remained simple. True mastery can be expressed through complexity, or through efficiency so refined it appears simple.